Well, folks, very, very unfortunate breaking news here as star defensive lineman Kalijah Cansey is out for the season with a torn pec, an injury that he sustained in the Bucs win against the Houston Texans. Shout out to Sleeper, by the way. More on them a little bit later on in this video. First, I want to say this. I wish nothing but the best in the recovery of Kalijah Cansey and that he can come back next season and be healthy and productive as much as he possibly can be, and that he's able to come back next year 100%. Before we talk about Cansey and kind of further what this injury means for him, though, I want to talk about the Buccaneers side of things because now you are in a scenario where you are without one of your starting defensive linemen throughout the entirety of the season. In my opinion, a productive starting defensive lineman in that regard. So, right now, currently on the Buccaneers 53-man roster, you have Logan Hall at defensive end. You have Vita Vea at nose tackle. Elijah Roberts is typically the backup defensive end to Kalijah Cansey, and Greg Gaines is typically the backup nose tackle. I don't necessarily know what the Bucs are going to do in terms of who's going to be getting the majority snaps at that defensive end spot with Kalijah Cansey because Greg Gaines, yes, he is listed as the backup nose tackle, but he does also play defensive end in some situations as well. So, is he the first guy to slot into that starting defensive end role now that Cansey is out? Is it going to be maybe Elijah Roberts? Is it going to be some split of the two because you don't necessarily want to take Greg Gaines away from that nose tackle spot? I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't think anybody's 100% sure yet. We are just going to have to wait and see as that depth chart, as that situation continues to grow and develop with the absence of Cansey. Real quick, guys, I do want to say shout out to the sponsor of this channel. It is Sleeper. If you guys use the code MrBucs, you get a $100 deposit match up to $100. That is whenever you use the code MrBucs. Thank you so much to Sleeper for being the proud sponsor of this channel. Make sure you guys download the app today and enjoy sports the way it was meant to be. That is together. Now, for the Bucs, they were already pretty thin along the defensive line, in my opinion. Right now, you only have four defensive linemen, I should say, on the current 53-man roster in Logan Hall, in Vita Vea, in Elijah Roberts, and in Greg Gaines. That is kind of concerning, all things considered. Now, the positive to this, in terms of that thinness of depth, is that you do have a lot of defensive line depth on that practice squad. You do have three defensive linemen that can be promoted to the active roster, let's say. You have CJ Brewer, you have Adam Gotsis, who already was elevated in week number 1 for the Bucs, and you've also got guys like Nash Hutmacher and a new addition of Jason Jones as well. Nash Hutmacher and Jason Jones kind of more backup nose tackles in my opinion. Nash Hutmacher is 6'4", 310 pounds. Jason Jones is 6'6", 335 pounds. Whereas in the case of Adam Gotsis and CJ Brewer, closer to that 3'4" defensive end size. Adam Gotsis is 6'4", 287 pounds. CJ Brewer 6'2", 290. So if I were expecting the Buccaneers to promote any of these four defensive linemen on the practice squad right now, I would assume it would be either CJ Brewer or Adam Gotsis. I would assume Adam Gotsis would probably be that first guy up, considering he was already elevated on a game day in week number 1. He would probably be that first guy to get promoted in week number 3, and obviously for the foreseeable future throughout the remainder of the season. Now, whenever we talk about some outside options that could possibly be there as well, there's a few guys that I have on my, so to speak, my sheet, my Google sheet that I had made whenever we talk about potential defensive linemen that could be brought in to the organization. Brent Urban is currently on the practice squad of the Ravens. Sheldon Day is on the practice squad of the Commanders. Ernest Brown IV has history with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from last year. He is currently on the Colts practice squad. Taven Bryant is a free agent formerly of the Bengals. Morgan Fox is a free agent formerly of the Falcons. He could be a strong veteran option. You do also have Mike Green, who could be brought back into the mix. He was a part of the Buccaneers' final roster cuts from this preseason. There's also Raekwon Davis, who is still out there as well, former free agent of the Colts. Also, Desmond Watson's available. I don't think they're going to be bringing back Desmond Watson anytime soon, but I just wanted to give you guys as many outside options that are available. Real quick, Greg Auman said, the Bucs will look internally for short-term help. 3 defensive linemen on the practice squad, 4 actually, if you include Jason Jones. Will certainly elevate, sign one of them for Sunday. Not expecting a trade, but could sign someone off another practice squad to add depth. Again, we look at those guys that were on my list, and I look at a Brent Urban or a Sheldon Day or an Ernest Brown the fourth, or maybe even a Morgan Fox as 4 guys that could very well be considered for veteran additions. Now, whenever we talk about Calijah Kancey and what this means for him going forward, taking the Bucs aspect of it to the side, this is bad. This is really bad. This will mark the 3rd straight season that Calijah Kancey will not be playing a full year in Tampa Bay. He played and started 14 games in 2023 in his first year. In his second year, he played and started 12 games. Now in his 3rd year, he played and started in only 2 games. And I know that injuries are uncontrollable, right? But some guys are more, whatever the word may be, more prone to have injuries than others. And Calijah Kancey, at this point, is pretty injury prone. I mean, he is. He's missing 15 more games for this year. That's after missing 3 in the first season, 5 in his second season. So, I mean, you're looking at a scenario where, this guy is missing so many games. 22 games in 3 years. That's bad. And the injuries are getting worse, and he's missing more time. And the talent with Kancey is there. You know how talented this young man can be, but the injuries are the biggest thing that have held Kancey back, and this one being the most significant one, a torn pec, right? That is not an easy injury to come back from. So I hope that Kancey next season can show some semblance of health, but right now, this is a big what-if type of thing where it's like, if Kancey could stay healthy, yeah, he'd be a pretty solid player. He just can't do that. So does that bring into question the long-term sustainability of not just Kancey, but the defensive line in general? Because remember, Logan Hall's contract is up after this year also. So what are the Bucs going to do at defensive line after this year? Are we going to see a scenario where they can't rely on Kancey because of his injury history, and Logan Hall has an expiring contract? So you could see some big changes along that defensive line as soon as this upcoming offseason because of the injury concerns to Calijah Kancey, the major injury concerns now at this point, and because of Logan Hall having that expiring contract. So we're going to have to wait and see, everybody. Obviously, I think the Buccaneers are going to look internally first and foremost with guys like I mentioned, CJ Brewer, Adam Gotsis, Nash Hutmacher being, and Jason Jones being those 4 guys to get that initial look. Maybe they will bring in another defensive lineman on the practice squad just in case, but we're going to have to wait and see. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on this very, very unfortunate news? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.